Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And she's back with us. She is here to help you move your life along. We just love talking to Kathy D. Carter, who is a spiritual life coach. She's a master Reiki healer. And Kathy, it's great to have you back. How are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing wonderful today. Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. We're going to talk about your belief system and how that really moves your life along, how it dictates your emotions, how you make decisions. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't even know what a belief system is. I know what all the other stuff is, but it kind of starts, you're saying, with the belief system.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a terminology. Belief system is a collection of our beliefs, and a lot of them are unconscious. A lot of them are programmed in when we're young, going through our victim survivorhood. Some say up to 7 years old, others say up to 21, 22 years old. But regardless, it's our beliefs. It's what we believe to be true. It's what we believe in. So that's what I'm referring to as a belief system.
So what if you are believing something that really isn't reality? For example, you say between the ages, and I totally subscribe to this theory, and there's been research done on it as well, between the ages of 0 and 7, like you said, that a lot of what you believe is formed then. But what about if you're led to believe something? Like, for example, you're no good. You just you always mess up all the time. Maybe you heard that as a 6-year-old, whatever it might be. And then you carried that. And now you're believing that as you navigate your life.
And that's where we all are. That's exactly where we all are. Because let's take that belief. If we take the belief that we're no good, then any type of criticism is going to trigger the stored emotion that we have around that belief, because at some point we decided we're no good. So we believe that. That's one of our beliefs. So that belief, if someone says, oh, there's some dust over there, you missed it, that person will take that personally, and that person will internalize it. And they could, depending on how sensitive they are, whether they're an empath or not, different people would take it to different levels. But if you, a very sensitive person, it could crush them. Just because someone said, oh, you missed a little dust over there, because they already believe they're no good. So someone saying that to them absolutely creates the monkey mind. And you start saying all these phrases that most people aren't aware of, that they repeat to themselves about, I'm no good. So when that happened, then they start this cycle of statements to themselves, and they start going down in frequency. And then the emotion comes, because our belief creates our thought, and our thought creates our emotion. That's what people don't get. If you go down and take care of your beliefs, your emotions are going to be totally different, because it is how you think about something that creates the emotion that you have about it.
Interesting. So I'm thinking of this in terms of my daughter. She's now 14. And up until about, I don't know, a year ago, if you were to say to her, what you're wearing looks pretty, or your hair was really nice. No, it's not. No, it's not. And I don't even know where that came from, because nobody between the ages of 0 and 7 would ever say to her that, what's with your hair? Why are you wearing that? Maybe that wasn't for me. Maybe that was the case. I don't know. But I don't hear her doing it now, because I started reframing it. And then I started saying, what's it like to have the most awesome hair in the world? And I changed it a little bit, and I don't know if that's made a difference, but now she accepts the compliment, but she didn't previously. So somehow, like you're saying, was led to believe that, or she believed it somehow. I don't know, that she wasn't good enough, or she wasn't pretty, and she really is.
It's tough on kids. I mean, you don't know what happened at school. You don't know what she saw on social media. You don't know what she saw on TV that she internalized. and oh, I'm not that good. And therefore it was a good thing that you caught she was not able to accept the compliments, because there is an issue there, of course. And to try to, now, has she learned to accept your compliments so you don't say something to her, or has she genuinely been able to turn that belief system around? That would be my question.
My gut says that she has turned it around.
I feel that too. I do.
When she accepts the compliment, she'll say thank you, and I feel that it's heartfelt. Like she's not just yesing me. It means something, and she values my feedback. That, and she believes that, yeah, okay, my hair does look good, or I look good wearing that. But just one example, but it's amazing how you can be led to believe something that really isn't true or is detrimental and negative, and then that carries you right through life with your emotions and it is everything. It is really everything.
It is. And unfortunately, a lot of girls will pick up from their mothers. They'll see their mother unhappy with her hair, or unhappy with her figure, or unhappy with her weight. And little girls are impressionable. They pick that up, and then they have that problem too.
And I think potentially a lot of moms may be saying that to their daughters, like, why are you wearing that today? Not even realizing what they're doing. And it might not even be their fault. Their mother probably did that to them. It's just a generational thing that they carry on.
Yes, it's the generational lineage. And that's what I say. We have a lot of warriors on the planet right now, and they're here to stop those generational lineages. And it's hard. It's really hard, because not only are they clearing their own history, they're trying to clear the whole history of all the lineage. And it's really tough on these warriors to, in an unsupported environment, to try to remember what they're here for and to get on with their work. Because pulling up your unconscious belief systems, you have to use the triggers of the emotions in order to get to them. And we're not taught how to do that. So it's very confusing to people when you say, well, you need to fix your thoughts, or fix your beliefs, look at them and decide if you want to keep them or not. And if they're unconscious, that's very hard to do. So you have to have ways of getting into that.
Now, when you say warriors, who are you referring to?
So on my website, I have a list of characteristics. A warrior is a soul. They could be a soul that doesn't even ordinarily belong on Earth, but they have, we say volunteered. Some of us think that we were talked into it. And we're here on the planet to help shift it more towards the light so that it doesn't destroy itself.
Are we talking about, I don't mean to cut you off here, Kathy.
No.
Are we talking about actual people who are, okay, so and could it be you, could it be me, where we're just trying to steer things in a more positive direction?
Yes. And we do it by being role models. And there's many people on the planet. You're definitely a warrior. You could line people up. I might have to ask them one or two questions, but I can pick the warriors out of the lineup because I sense them. I know them. And there's many people that's on the planet just for their own evolvement, their own development. Warriors are the ones that have come to help. Some people say save the earth. Other people say we're here to help keep the balance of the light and the dark, because it's really shifting sometimes more to the dark than we would like to keep the balance more even, because Mother Earth is a living organism and we have to keep her alive and we have to support her. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people beginning their path, their lower frequency, and they don't understand those concepts. I mean, we have people that are warriors that can move a wasp nest and not get stung. And yet we have the the ones starting the path that, oh my God, we got to kill all of them.
I'm proud to say, I think I'm a warrior.
I know you are. I know you
And
are.
you are too, but I wasn't until I got it. And I think I got it about a year ago ish, probably not even, but I don't need to go into my journey and go into detail, but when you get it, you get it. And then, what do? I tell other people, hey, look at this. We have a thing called the universe, and what you want, all the different principles that we've talked about, I firmly believe it. And, for anybody that's watching or listening, this isn't crazy stuff, people. We're talking about life in general. We're just taking it to a different level. And that's why we're talking about it. Got a question here, and this comes from Jezebel, and she's in Brooklyn and New York. And she says, how do I know what my beliefs are?
That's a very good question, Jezebel. So, if you have a religion you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me.
Now, you know what's going to happen? You're going to make me want to take a drink of water. It's like somebody sneezes or yawns. They do the same.
If you like chocolate cake or you don't like cake, those are beliefs. Those are beliefs that you have. Now, the ones that are more hidden, the unconscious beliefs, some people call it subconscious, but it's belief systems that you're not consciously aware of. And the way that you do try to uncover them is it can take some work. That's the healing path. That's the huge part of the healing path, is to learn how to uncover these unconscious beliefs, because they are what's controlling your life.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get triggered, and let's say somebody said you miss that dust, and you get furious, it just makes you so angry, and it's out of proportion to the anger that you might have had. It means that you have a belief about either leaving dust. I mean, as a child, maybe you had to dust stuff, and maybe it meant if mom came along with the white glove, or dad, and they found dust, you were in serious trouble. So if that was the case, you could have an unconscious belief that, oh my goodness, dust means pain.
Yeah. Or if you were led to believe that you didn't reach your potential in doing something. Like, it could have been anything. Yeah. Could have been anything back in the day. It could have been, you eating. How come you never finish your vegetables? Why is that? Come on. And that could, I know it's kind of crazy, but that could be ingrained in your head.
That's one of the big ones. That's one of the huge ones that people have, and it's unconscious, is clean your plate. There's people starving in this world. You cleaning your plate is not going to help those starving people. You're only harming your own physical body. But it has been ingrained in us because there's good reason, because a lot of the people that went through the Depression, that was a huge, they went through something we didn't experience.
Yes.
So the collective, because here's the other thing, the collective belief system is what creates what happens. So if the collective believes that we don't have enough food, or you should eat your food on your plate, that affects us. Remember how if you get a meditation group together, the power of it is so much bigger if you have people that can connect together and increase the frequency. They can have a major effect that one person alone can't have. So it's the same with the collective belief system. Whatever, if you're in a city that believes the water is wonderful that they're drinking, and it's full of fluoride and chemicals and everything else, they're going to be fine because they believe it's fine. Our power of thought is huge. Our human bodies and thought are very connected, so connected people don't understand. But if you move into that city and you've had problems, let's say, with needing purified water, you move into this city and you can taste and you can feel and your body reacts to this water. Are you going to eventually believe the water's okay? Or are you going to leave the city? Because sometimes you can't stay in a group of thought that is contradicting what you believe and or what you want to achieve. If someone's trying to quit alcohol and they keep going to the bar where all their friends are, knowing, oh, I've got this, I've kicked it. But if they continue to go to that bar and sit with people that's drinking, they will not be able to stay dry. I mean, it would be a rare exception that could.
So what I've learned in just the last couple of seconds is that the generational thing we said, when you said about the depression and you got to clean your plate because there are people starving, that has gone on since the 20s. So, one generation passed it to the other generation, to the other generation. And look what has happened. That's number one. Number two, what an important job a parent has between the ages of 0 and 7. And it's very unfortunate, myself included, that I didn't know that back then when my kids were younger. My youngest is 14 now. I wish I did, because I would have done things very differently. Not that I did what I thought was wrong. I did what I thought I should be doing or what I thought was right, because that's how I was brought up, just like everybody else.
Yes. And unfortunately, I mean, I'm there too. I wished I would have known what I know now when I raised my kids. And the thing of it is that parents don't realize, because they go into it unhealed, because we have great education systems, but we don't teach people about life, the emotions and the things that we need to know. And it's all more analytical, scientific knowledge that we get taught. And we skip the emotional, the feeling. And the parents don't understand that they're carrying the generational lineage. They're carrying what they were taught.
Sure.
So if they were taught to spank and hit a kid to straighten them up, they haven't healed enough to open their mind and examine that belief. So they're going to carry it on, and it carries on until finally we get a generation where they say, how's that helping? How does hitting a child change their behavior? You're just teaching them to hit.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's a great example. So there's a reset there, because I like to believe that most parents don't do that, but I can tell you, back in the day, the belt came out. And that's the way it was back then.
And unfortunately, another thing that happens with parents, because of their belief system and their stored emotion, when their child reaches the age of the parent's trauma, let's say that a parent had a huge trauma at age 8. When their child, and especially if the child is the same sex of the parent, when that child reaches that age, so we got a parent here, let's say it's a male, at 8 years old, they had a very traumatic experience. Now their male child, is reaching age 8. It triggers the parent. The child doesn't do anything except be himself, but it is triggering the stored emotion that the parent never healed. And this is when we see a parent just kind of out of the blue turn on the child and become very argumentative, very critical. It can take different forms, but it happens so much. I see it.
Wow.
Lots.
Would you also, by the way, we're talking with spiritual life coach and master Reiki healer, Kathy D. Carter. She's there to help you out. She's got great information. I'm learning so much here today. Kathy D. Carter is her website. Kathy with a K, Carter with a C.com, kathydcarter.com. So based on what you just said, Kathy, when that child reaches the age that the parent experienced that trauma, is it possible that the parent even changes in a way, maybe not, doesn't do anything to the child or do, you know, say things or anything, but they go through a change. Whatever the change, you're like, what? Boy, that person's totally different now. What is going on? Could that be a trigger?
Could that be a trigger? I need a little bit more information. I got a little
Okay.
lost.
So let's say age 13, a mother went through some traumatic experience in their life.
Mhm.
And at age 13, their kid is now 13, hypothetically here, I'm just picking anything.
Mhm.
Is it possible for that parent, like we call it a midlife crisis, or to have a just things go on, things change within their personality, but not necessarily being nasty, mean, or
To the child.
to the child, right?
Well, of course that can happen. And it is because they are being triggered. And another thing that we'll commonly see is when that is transpiring, when that child is getting closer to 13, the parent could begin strongly trying to influence the child to do things the child doesn't want to do because the mother never got to do it. So she's trying to live her life through the child. So there's many different dynamics that can take place according to the belief system of the parent.
Sure. Wow. This can get very complicated, but this is the baseline for our lives. My gosh, this is it. You know, if you're not absorbing this or getting it, just listen more, go back to some other podcasts, because I know we've talked a little bit about this, but this is why you do what you do. This is why you have fears. This is why things set you off, whatever it might be, because it went back to your childhood.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's where your beliefs came from, which, as we're talking about today, leads to your emotions. But I think the hardest thing is identifying them.
Well, and that's what
Jezebel.
Jezebel's asking. She's saying, how do I find those?
Yeah.
How do I uncover them?
Yeah.
One of the good ways is to make a list of your beliefs. Start becoming more conscious of what you do believe. And then you're going to start having, it's just like with gratitude. If you start writing down 3 things of gratitude every day, you're going to start, it's going to take your focus and your attention to gratitude. So if we start thinking about what we believe, we're taking our focus to our belief system. So if we start writing down, I like chocolate cake, I don't like to travel, I like quiet time to myself. If you start writing down these kinds of beliefs, that can help bring up some other beliefs that you haven't ever thought about.
Mm.
And the other way is, like I said, when your emotions get triggered, you need to go in and say, what did I say to myself? What was the statements? And that takes some practice to get used to catching what you're saying to yourself, because it's just automatic and it runs so fast. But if you'll slow down and say, okay, that car just cut me off. What did I just say to myself? A few cuss words, anger came up. So when have you felt that same emotion before? What happened when you have felt that emotion before? Oh, Dad used to cut me off and say, that's enough. You've said enough.
Wow.
See the resemblance?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny when you say the word beliefs, I think a lot of people, myself included, initially think of the positive beliefs. Like maybe you believe in God. Maybe you believe that you're an honest person. I believe this, you know, I'm good. I believe I dress well. I mean, you have to also look at the other things that, for example, I don't like doing things alone. That could be an indication of maybe you have a fear of being abandoned. And maybe that takes you back to something from your past. Got to be honest with yourself. I think that's what it is.
Well, that's a whole lot of it. And journaling helps a lot of people. It's not for everybody. I don't ever force any one type of thing. We experiment with different things. I mean, healing mandalas can bring up your unconscious beliefs. And I teach those, I do them for people. It is just looking at colors and shapes and designs and the combination that they're in. If you're drawn to it and you're wanting to look at it, it can change your brain and it can help bring up unconscious beliefs and release stored emotion.
Absolutely. And we're just about out of time, but two quick things. If you're not into journaling, physically writing, which is the best way because it connects with your brain, then just do voice memos, but label them, because you don't want just some file name there. And number two, my question to you, Kathy, I've heard it takes 2 years to heal, like really heal from whatever it might be to become a different person, a better person, whatever it might be. Have you heard that? Is that kind of, no?
I've not heard that one.
Okay.
And my answer would be it's very relative to the person.
Okay.
Very relative. It took me 7 years. But I had the environmental illness, so I was also healing. I was healing everything: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, all at the same time.
Wow.
It took me 7 years, but I do see it's speeding up, and people are able to go through things that took me a lot longer back then than what it takes people to get through now. And especially if they have the support system and the knowledge of what to do. Yeah. And we're getting more of that out there now, so it is more available.
Right. And that's why we're talking about it. And also somebody like you. So if you're going through something and you feel that you need to heal from whatever it might be, check out Kathy's website, talk. That's it. That's where it starts. And that's why people like you are here. Kathy D. Carter. It's Kathy with a K, Carter with a C.com. Always love talking with you. It's so funny, here, I'm going to open up the curtains. When we start, before we go on the air, we don't know what we're doing. We don't even know what we're going to talk about. We got to just say, yeah. But then I think that's why we do what we do, because these are such important things. This is like elementary for somebody's life, to make it better. It really is. But I didn't know that. A year ago. I didn't know that. So now I do, and I get it. So thank you.
It depends on a person's trauma, how long it takes them to heal too. I mean, there's a lot of variables. We can talk about that next time.
Yeah, I got a lot of crap, but I think I'm working on it.
We all do.
We all do. And you know what? One thing not to forget, we are warriors. I'm proud to say that. We're, if we change one person today and help them, that's what it's all about. And look forward to catching up next time.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.